Alright, welcome back. Time for round 2. I'm not gonna mulligan this hand. 2 islands, 2 mountains, and spells. Pretty tough to beat. Opponent, I think, mulliganed to 6. So my plan is to somehow get some value out of the Daring Thief. Golden Hind. Not a card I love to see here, but it depends if my opponent has a good 4-drop to really generate some tempo. Otherwise, I have some good blockers lined up. Nyxborn Wolf is solid. It's not a 4-drop, but it is something that I've trouble blocking. So I'm probably forced to just play Daring Thief in order to have a blocker for Golden Hind. If that runs into a trick, can't really help it. And my plan is then to Area Worshippers next turn. So my best hope is that Golden Hind doesn't attack, my opponent also doesn't have a good block, good play. Both of which was kind of unlikely. Let's not make this a 7/7, I think. Oh, there's the Bolt of Keranos. Area Worshippers holds off both of these guys, and Griptide deals with the snake, but only after a while. I could try to double block the snake, which is really dangerous against green. So I will probably try to do that once I have the Griptide up. And I do need to find a way to tap my creatures here. Alright, Nyxborn Wolf and Golden Hind are not attacking. My opponent is also on only green mana, so there's definitely the option that my opponent just doesn't have anything to play, but that's kind of good for me anyway. So I don't think I can block here. Double blocking is really dangerous, and my opponent not having anything is kind of the best thing that can happen to me anyway. So yeah, I'm kind of happy about that. I actually drew a Triton Tactics. Wow. If I target Area Worshippers and Daring Thief, I kind of want to make a 2/2 flyer rather than trading something with my opponent. I could give my opponent the Area Worshippers, but that doesn't seem... Well, I could take the Snake of the Golden Grove. That would actually be a good trade. Could also bolt the Oathsworn and then try to Triton Tactics it up. Also not completely unreasonable. If I get my opponent to block the Daring Thief, for example, then Triton Tactics generates some pretty insane value. So I don't want to trade Daring Thief for anything my opponent has. I think the Daring Thief is too powerful. But I would like to have the Snake, of course. The Snake is a card that I would like to have. If I attack only with the Area Worshippers, it's actually interesting. My opponent could then block with... It doesn't really have a good block without casting a spell. Yeah, so attacking with Area Worshippers alone is actually my best line here. That still leaves me with the option to Triton Tactics. And my opponent doesn't know it's coming. I also have the Griptide. So all of these things should mean that it's quite safe to play it that way. So now I'll just try to Triton Tactics my 2 guys. That triggers. Alright. I will pay the mana. I'm not holding up Griptide here anyway. Now I have a 2/7 and a 2/6. So both of them are going to try to take down the snake. I would lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would still only lose one of them to... I would still only lose one of them to a trick. I could block another way that the bird actually blocks the snake. So that if my opponent has a trick, he's forced to kill the Area Worshippers. That might actually be even better. Let's see. If the thing is, if the bird blocks the Nyxborn Wolf, then the bird is definitely going down, and then one of my other creatures is going down. But if the bird blocks the snake together with the Daring Thief, then my opponent needs a trick to kill the Daring Thief, and then it's unlikely that the bird also dies. So that, I think, is even better. Also, I'm not too afraid of the Daring Thief going down. Let's see if that works. Who knows? Maybe my opponent has a bunch of tricks in hand, but I can't take too much damage here. that worked out beautifully. And my opponent has nothing, so yeah, pretty much perfect. And here I'm gonna attack because both of my creatures are pretty insane when they untap. And if my opponent goes for a trick, I would just have Griptide back up. So here I could Bolt of Keranos, but I'm not even sure if I want to do that. I only want to survive, and I think Cloaked Siren is probably my best bet to survive. As it's not gonna get hit by something, by sorcery speed removal spell. And I actually get some value here. What I don't get is a good card to trade off. Can I cancel this? No, I have to do that. I could leave up double red. If I draw a land, I'm fine either way, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna trade anything. Drawing an island, alright. I can now cast the Stormcaller. Can also attack with at least the Cloaked Siren. I think the Worshippers also. Getting in with the Worshippers again is kind of sweet. I probably should have left up double red. I wouldn't want to cast Divination anyway if I draw land. But I don't think that my opponent is on mono green, so I expect him to have 2 or 3, maybe even 4 dead cards in hand. And I didn't want to play anymore. Understandable. So nothing too crazy. This is definitely not a deck that I want to have too many annuls or dismissals against. Hubris does seem pretty good just to generate a bit of tempo and to punish the double +1/+1 counter heroes. Stymied Hopes on the draw once again, probably not what I want. Also against Golden Hind. Let's just take that out. My deck is a bit clunky on the draw now, so maybe I can find something else to take out instead. It would have to be one of the 3-drops, maybe even the Stormcaller, but that gives me such a great late game. I'm kind of scared, and I'm 1-0 ahead, so I think I have to take out one of the 3-drops because I like Blade Duskborn and Cloaked Siren too much. I'm gonna try it without the Stormcaller. I still want to keep my high end, playing 18 lands. Alternatively, I could have taken out a land, but I think that my deck, it's almost impossible for my deck to flood out, so 18 lands seems really correct. Also, this could become a really good Stymied Hopes. My opponent with the Golden Hind again. And now I can try to find a 3-drop with Stymied Hopes. I hope that I can cast it. My opponent could even play around it by not attacking and casting a 3-drop. If my opponent attacks and casts a 3-drop, then the Stymied Hopes is the full blowout. Yeah, this is not something that should have happened. My opponent just has to leave up Golden Hind, and then he or she is fine. And a great blocker. I do want to draw another island, and turn 5 pressing Chimera is very good, so I'm happy drawing an island here. Nessian Game Warden, that's good. Don't have a blocker for it currently. And it's really interesting if my opponent hits here. Playing against one more creature is quite a big deal. Doesn't look like my opponent missed, because if you miss, you just click OK, and then you're done with it. No, my opponent hit, and it's a 7-drop. Good to know. At least I know what I'm fighting against. Let's see. The Storm Chaser actually only attacks for 2, whereas Cloaked Siren attacks for 3. And I will be busy casting spells in the upcoming turns. I do give away the fact that I have a flash creature, but looking at what my opponent has in play and is going to play, I somehow doubt that this is going to be about small surprises. but rather about big monsters here. Oh wow. Okay, this is really big game. Don't know if I can keep up with that. Griptide, probably a bit too late. Griptiding Nessing Game Warden is awful. Griptiding this just means that it's coming back, and I don't really have enough pressure on the board. I'm gonna run out Pressing Chimera, and then I will have to try to block. It's my only real option here. If my opponent has a Swamp for the Eater, I'm in trouble. If my opponent has a Trick, I'm in absolute trouble, but I can't really see an alternative line here. I have effectively a 6/6 if I block with both flyers, so both of these green creatures I can trade one for one with. I couldn't attack with Cloaked Siren because Omen Speaker alone wouldn't have given me the necessary power. Okay, Oakard Dryads, not what I wanted to see. All of these guys get trampled, and the Humbler is now a 6/6. So, oh wow. And a time defeat. So now I'm pretty much dead, I think. Taking 6. I'll play it out, but this is a pretty brutal turn. With the Nessing Game Warden attacking 2, I just have to block it, I think. Alright, so if I play the Storm Chaser, I will probably just be dead. But if I just Griptide a creature here, I think I'm losing anyway. So I'll hope that my opponent has absolutely nothing. Maybe only forests, and then I can take another 5, blocking the other 2 creatures. And then untapping into the Storm Chaser. Okay, that part of the plan worked out. So let's see what happens next. I'll just draw my card. Pinnacle of Rage, wow. That's not bad. I could Pinnacle these 2. And then chump block the Humbler, hoping that my opponent draws another dead card. And then the Griptide would actually be huge, because it then delays the 6/6 and the Eater of Hopes. Once again, if my opponent has anything here, I'm dead, but I just have to hope that he's on absolutely nothing. Don't really say how to play this differently. And I have to get very lucky to get there, clearly. Alright, that's enough. Noble Quarry just kills me. Would have killed me pretty much in all. Oh, I have to block. So yeah, I'm not sure how this game would have gone. I was gambling a bit there. But with the Griptide, if my opponent doesn't have anything and then I Griptide, then I have at least a shot to win with the Storm Chaser or to survive long enough to take over. So Annul just got a lot better if my opponent is running out 6 mana 5/5 enchantments. I think Annul is better than Nullify. And I've also shown the Siamese Hopes, which was good, but only because my opponent didn't play around it. So who knows if that's actually a good thing. Starfall looks a bit weaker, but there's still a lot of targets that my opponent has. So yeah, I'm playing the Hubris. Opponent also with the 7-drop. I could actually just bring in more counter spells, trying to play this game from a bit of a different angle. So Annul and Nullify maybe instead of Hubris and Griptide, so that I'm not really trying to out-tempo my opponent at all, but rather try to prevent him from doing the unfair things that I saw. And I still have all my good cards basically, and also now I have a couple of solutions to what my opponent is up to. I like that better, I think, that overall game plan. I could even run more of these, but I'm afraid of just not having enough creatures. I'm already down to 13, so I think that's the least I will go down to. Curious Dismissal would be the alternative plan, to just go full out bounce, and if my opponent just plays a bunch of bestow creatures and the 6 mana 5/5, then I just bounce 3 of their guys and raise them. But I'm not too confident in my deck when it comes to racing. I would much rather control my opponent out. All right, this is a mulligan. And this is a pretty bad hand. I don't think I can keep that. I could draw into divinations and I would maybe be fine, but 5 lands and a 7 drop is not a good draw. All right, I have a challenge here, mulliganing down to 5. But there's the divination, so we might be going places. With especially with the area worshippers, of course. Good old divination. Getting me back into the game. My opponent, Spire Spine, blocks each turn if able. So I think I just have to cast the Spearpoint Aureate here. Oh my god, I mistapped. I wanted to leave open blue, of course. This could be punished very, very badly, because now I would have been safe from pretty much anything. Alright, wasn't punished, but still. Yeah, if I keep this and my opponent can't attack with it, then I can attack with the Spearpoint Aureate and the Spire Spine just goes down. Which sadly didn't happen, so I'm taking a bunch of damage here. Another land. So none of my creatures trade favorably with the Spire Spine, and it must block if able. I'm just hoping that my opponent attacks with the Spire Spine and plays something that's not exactly good enough to block the worshippers. And if my opponent wants to hold back the Spire Spine to kill the worshippers, then I have the trump in Nyxborn Triton. That would actually be a very big deal. So attacking, I'm not blocking. I need the value from the area worshippers too much. Going down to 12 is... Alright, I will just annul that instantly. No other plays. I even get a nullify out of the deal. That's nice. Savage Surge. Colossal Heroics. That's pretty much Savage Surge. I could have played the Nyxborn Triton, but I really didn't want to take another 4 from the Spire Spine, so that's kind of unfortunate. Let's see. If I cast Pressing Chimera, I'm not able to leave up Nullify, and I think I'm forced to... What am I doing here? I think I'm forced to do that. I also am now forced to block Spire Spine and hope that I can somehow stabilize this board. The Colossal Heroics were really bad. Otherwise, I would have played this and had the Worshippers to start generating 2/2s. But Colossal Heroics kind of foiled that plan. I don't even want to nullify that. Here I'm casting Divination because I want to not show my opponent that I have the nullify. And if I draw into land number 7, which is quite likely now, then I will be able to nullify plus Chimera. Meaning that my opponent won't be adding something threatening to the board like this game board, in which I can never beat. I'll just hold up 2 blue again. Not that it's likely that I'm countering anything again, but it might influence my opponent's decision. Yeah. Oh well, this is really punishing. Kind of unfortunate. I think I had to nullify there. I think my plan was fine of the way I tried to play around the Spire Spine or get value out of the Spire Spine. But the Colossal Heroics punished me. And now the Noble Quarry crushed me. That was not a card that I could afford to see there. Pretty much almost out of outs now. That's a beating. The Noble Quarry pretty much winning my opponent both games. Alright, that's probably the death blow. Cloaked Siren, yeah, not doing enough. This game is over. Yeah, really unfortunate. I mean, I did mulligan to 5, but with the Divination I think I was fine. And then I had the Spearpoint Aureate against the Spire Spine. That was my first try. It got taken out immediately. I tried the Area Worshippers. If the Spire Spine is held back to block, I have the Nyxborn Triton, but instead it attacks, and then my opponent has Colossal Heroic. So I could have played around that by Nyxborn Tritoning, but I didn't really have the tempo to go down to 8 or even lower just to generate a 2/2. So I tried to, and I also didn't know that my opponent had the +2/+2 and untap. I could have just, if this just stays in play and I get to play Nyxborn Triton holding up Nullify, I'm also winning on the board. So I think my opponent pretty much had the very best answers there. And even in the later stages, I only needed to stabilize despite my mulligan to 5. But then Noble Quarry takes out my 3/5 flyer, and I'm pretty much done for. Alright, I can't win them all. That was Simon, or Simon Goertzen, whatever you prefer. Drafting with Simon for StarCityGames.com. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you're enjoying the show. See you next time.